Hey yo everybody, ProdCharles here. Can't get enough of the Outlast series? I don't blame you. With Outlast 2 around the corner and only a demo to get us through our withdrawal symptoms, there's only so much we can do to satisfy our twisted survival horror cravings. So, if you'd like to learn as much about Outlast 2 as possible, sit tight and follow along, because in this video, I'll be explaining as much as I can about Outlast 2, including potential plot elements and the ending of the demo. For those who don't know, Outlast 2 is a survival horror game that is currently being developed by Red Barrels. The game follows the story of Blake Lagerman, a cameraman, as he travels to southern Arizona to investigate a murder involving a missing woman named Jane Doe. Alongside him is his wife Lynn, and together they take a helicopter to where they need to go, but the helicopter suddenly breaks down. Blake ends up at the bottom of a mountainous area, and this is where the gameplay begins. Since Lynn isn't with Blake when he comes to, he decides to check a nearby abandoned village to see if there is any sign of her. As he approaches the village, weird things start to happen. In the distance, glowing eyes can be seen glaring straight back at Blake, and as he explores the village, he finds crosses and dead bodies and animals everywhere. At one point, a woman's scream can be heard, presumably Lynn's. Blake rushes to find the source of the scream and ends up entering a cave area, where gruesome rituals involving human deaths had taken place. At the entrance to the area was a sign reading, Satanas inimical Dei, which is understood to mean Satan, the enemy of God. Blake eventually finds a well from which a huge tongue emerges and consumes him, causing him to phase into an alternate reality that resembles a high school. While being tormented by a shadowy spirit, Blake finds the locker and some belongings of a girl named Jessica, and eventually Jessica's body, hanging from the ceiling. He tries to approach the body, but the dark spirit takes the corpse away and into the ceiling. Blake is phased out again, and this time he ends up in a room of corpses. When he escapes this room, he quickly notices that he is in grave danger as he is standing outside of a farmhouse swarming with armed pursuers. He almost makes a clean escape, but is cut off by a character resembling the Grim Reaper, who chops into his genitals with a pickaxe before hitting him again, causing the screen to black out. The demo actually shares quite a lot of information on what we can expect. We definitely know that we will be playing a character called Blake Lagerman, and just like in the first Outlast, there will be two main characters that progress through the story from different ends of the story. This might actually be carried through to Outlast 2. We could be able to control both Blake and Lynn, as both are experiencing assumedly different sides of the story as well. Just like the first Outlast, we might even be able to expect DLC to be released that shows us Lynn's side of the story and her experiences. While there is no hinting towards there being another mental asylum like in the first Outlast, the religious motif from the first game is definitely making a comeback. But in Outlast 2, we have a group of country people that are conscious that they are part of a cult, rather than having a mental disorder being exploited. Given the enemy characters we are introduced to, as well as the situations we are exposed to, you may also say that the members of the cult were tortured, possessed, or scared into being part of the cult, which isn't that unviable considering that there seem to be supernatural forces at hand. We also need to consider the presence of the Murkoff Corporation in this game, which Red Barrels themselves have announced would be making an appearance in the game. Could they perhaps be performing different types of morphogenic engine therapies on the people of this remote village to come back from the failures of the first Outlast? Could Walrider be coming back? As Red Barrels has mentioned that Outlast 2 will be taking place after the events of Mount Massive Asylum, could we expect Miles Upshur, in the form of Walrider, to be there? In the first Outlast, Mount Massive Asylum was situated in Colorado, and Outlast 2 takes place in Arizona. The distance between these two places is not so far that a vengeful Walrider Miles wouldn't be able to make it. However, if Walrider requires Miles' body to be intact, close, and as fresh as possible to be able to use Miles' soul, it may pose issues when considering preserving the body over this journey, or even considering whether the body was preserved at all. On the other hand, Murkoff could have made a completely new batch of nanites and are trying to look for a new vessel for the swarm. Could this be the Grim Reaper character that we see at the end? Regardless, given that the village we enter in Arizona is remote and inaccessible by land vehicles, there is a pretty decent chance that Murkoff set up a secret base there. Whatever's happening there, it's enthralled in religion. The events of the Outlast 2 demo seem to parallel one of the 10 plagues of Egypt from the Book of Exodus. When playing through Outlast 2, Miles not only has to walk past enclosures with their doors marked with blood, but also has to walk over the corpses of what seem to be dead infants. This is similar to the death of the firstborns, the first of these Egyptian plagues mentioned in Exodus, which could only be prevented by marking the doors of your home with lamb's blood. If this parallel is true, there might be references to other plagues taking place in Outlast 2. While we have seen an infestation of flies in the game, which was also one of the plagues mentioned in Exodus, this might actually be due to the attraction of bloody corpses sitting in one place for a long time. We are also exposed to dead livestock, where Exodus refers to a disease plague on the livestock of Egypt, but we also do not know what the deranged cult followers are up to. While there are other plagues that could just barely be similar to events that take place in the Outlast 2 demo, the most interesting of the potential plagues is the Plague of Locusts, which may signify the return of the nanite swarm. We also have to consider the upside-down crosses that are prepared to be burned or get burned, which seem to have two potential meanings. The first of these is that the upside-down crosses act as a religious symbol akin to the cross of Saint Peter. This symbol is associated with Saint Peter, as he requested to be crucified upside down. He did not feel worthy of being crucified the same way that Jesus was. Therefore, in this sense, the symbol is somewhat divine. The second interpretation of the symbol is as a representation of the Church of Satan, of which the symbol is a part of and associated with being evil. The burning of this cross also draws parallels with the Ku Klux Klan, an extremist group that represented white supremacy. Interestingly, we might be able to witness some foreshadowing to the death of Father Martin in this game, as he died on a burning cross in the original Outlast. Regardless of the meaning of these crosses, there is no doubt that they are crucial to the rituals of the cult and in their representation, and will be frequent throughout Outlast 2. With some areas also showing the crosses right side up, there might be a chance that there are two separate factions, with the other faction being followers of the original Walrider. Keep in mind that there is no evidence that all of the people from Mount Massive Asylum actually died in the first Outlast, so there could be a chance that Murkoff transported them to a new base in Arizona. Another biblical parallel in Outlast 2 is the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. One interpretation of the Four Horsemen is that they are prophesied to engage the Earth in a final trial of repentance initiated by God. The boss character that we see slice Mark's genitals to bits at the end of the demo highly resembles many artists' representations of the horseman known as Thanatos, or Death, a Grim Reaper-like being that is prophesied to bring Hades, the resting place of the dead, upon Earth. This is actually quite a fitting and exciting scenario, because we not only see that death does come quickly when encountering this character, but it also might mean that there are three other major boss characters signified by Conquest, a bow wielder, War, a sword wielder, and Famine, wielder of the Scales of Justice, the other three of the Four Horsemen. Given that the village people all think that the end of the world is coming, it's a good indication that this might actually be the case. A hint towards this could be the note that we see in the locker when we phase into a different world to find Jessica. The note clearly has a picture of a centaur on it, a literal horseman, which might be a teaser for what is ahead. Unfortunately, the note itself doesn't have anything of interest written on it. Most of it is completely unreadable, and some of the parts even say blah blah on it. It's all filler text. Speaking of the phase-out scene, there's a big chance that it might be a reference to Murkoff's morphogenic research making a comeback. It appears that Mark enters what appears to be a lucid dream about a subconscious memory he had about a girl he knew in high school after being sucked into the well, and it's unclear whether or not he stops dreaming when his genitals are chopped. As Mark progresses to the Grim Reaper-like character at the end of the sequence, we see some indication that there are followers of the right side up cross as mentioned before. So really, he might still be at the bottom of the well when the dream sequence ends, and there might actually be only one cult faction. During the sequence, Mark gets to see an odd-shadowed creature that does not fully present itself to him, which could be the next Walrider being introduced, as the first Walrider would also briefly show itself to Miles throughout his adventure. The sequence might also be foreshadowing what is happening to Lynn at that moment, as she might be in a situation where she was captured by the next Walrider nanite swarm, or a Murkoff research team, and is being kept away from Mark. It is possible that she is undergoing a new morphogenic engine therapy and feels like she wants to kill herself, but the nanites won't let her soul rest. Whatever happens, I'm sure that we all know that this will be a great and horrific adventure, and we won't be able to wait for its release. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and remember to subscribe if you enjoy content like this. I plan to make more Outlast 2 videos in the future, and definitely will be considering doing a let's play of it. So if you want more, remember to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, see ya!